Okay. I'd like to call to order the June 7, 2023 Committee of the Whole meeting for the Pottstown Borough Council. You kindly rise for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We're going to start with a public hearing. Mr. Garner, do you have any words before we turn it over to Courtney?
No, Courtney will open the hearing and then we will take public comment specifically related to the purpose of the hearing, which is the part fare increase. So Courtney, if you could give some background, that would be helpful for the audience.
Good evening. The purpose of this hearing is to consider a fare increase for Pottstown Area Rapid Transit. This is normally done every 2 years. However, due to COVID, we did delay it. We were supposed to do a fare increase in 2000 and also in 2022. And we have decided to put that off until the new fiscal year, which will go into effect on July 1st. The fares will increase the base fare from $2.25 to $2.50. Half fare will go from $1.10 to $1.25, transfers from 75 cents to $1, and paratransit from $4.50 to $5.
Okay.
Is there any public comment on that?
Sure. At this point, if there's anyone that wishes to make comment with respect to the proposed increase, we would ask that you state your name and address and provide your comment to Borough Council. We'll take the public that is present at the meeting, and then we'll take online comment.
My name is Philip Teese. I live at South Evans Street in Pottstown. I see they want to raise the fare. I think they should, but is it enough considering how high the price of fuel has gone? Can we afford to keep running the bus lines? That's the only thing I'm concerned about saying in this, that we need to raise the fare.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And please
Thank
make
you.
sure it's enough to keep going.
Your comment.
Anyone else?
Is there?
Do you have anyone online?
Yeah, at this time, anyone online that would like to make a comment, please feel free to give your name and address.
I have no one. No comments? Okay.
None. None online, Chuck.
Okay, thank you. At this point, we'll close the public hearing. And Courtney, thank you for the information. Council will address the matter at the regular meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. Next, from Montgomery County, we have our District Attorney, Kevin Steele. Welcome.
Thank you. All right. So I appreciate everyone giving me a little bit of time here this evening. And I want to just spend a little time talking about some, I think, exciting new plans regarding public safety that hopefully you all will think are exciting too, because it is potential to be a game-changing situation for us. So for the past 7 years, or more than 7 years, I've been the district attorney in Montgomery County, which means I'm responsible for public safety of all parts of our county, making it a safe place to live, work, and play. So one of our early efforts in focusing on Pottstown here was our Pottstown Community Justice Unit. If you could go to the next slide, thank you. So summer of 2016, we put this together, and the model that we worked off with it is having 3 prosecutors assigned to Pottstown. And the captain of that unit is with us here tonight. If Gabby Hughes can give a little wave in the back, and 2 other assistant DAs that are assigned to that, Rob Waltz and Ann O'Connell. And they work closely with the police, but they do more than that. This model, and if you could go to the next slide on this, that would be great. So the goal is uplifting our community, being a partner in the community, talking to kids, outreach to community groups, and working to reduce the current and future crimes in a systematic way, so that the overall quality of life in the community will keep improving. And I know it is, it's on a great trajectory here in Pottstown, but this is a part of it. So I think everyone in the room and everyone in Pottstown and everyone in the police force, as well as our office, has the same goals, and that's to uplift Pottstown and its residents, prioritize public safety, and prevent crime today as well as down the road. So curbing violence, decreasing incarceration since we're reducing crimes, and preventing the loss of life through murders, shootings, and violence. So everyone knows how important it is for that. And one of the things, and I'll get to that slide in a moment here. But during my tenure, what we've done and worked through is trying to investigate and look at all offenses that are criminal and charge accordingly with that. But it's been a balanced approach. We have done extraordinarily well with our diversion programs also, and that includes youth court and drug treatment court, and working to lower the incarceration levels. The overriding principles, though, have been about preventing the loss of life, and that's by reducing violence, reducing overdoses, reducing guns getting into the hands of criminals, and working to reduce domestic violence. So the aspect about preserving life and maintaining safety in it, and I want to talk about the homicides a little bit, because there's a lot of attention that gets put on Philadelphia and the numbers in Philadelphia. And what I want to reiterate and talk about here is, over the last 10 years for us, it's been between 11 and 20 murders. And that hasn't, we haven't seen a big uptick on that or anything, and it's generally that area. And the other thing about this that's extraordinary, and I think a lot of this is to do with partnerships with the police, our county detectives and how everybody works through, but we're solving these at a 96% clip, all right? Now, to put that into context, national averages are between 60 and 66% solve rate. Philadelphia is between 40 and 44% solve rate last year. So don't commit a murder in Montgomery County, because we're going to solve it, and you're going to be prosecuted successfully on that. So if you go to the next slide, and this I want to use to lead into to some of the technology that I want to discuss here tonight. One of the trends that we have unfortunately seen is more firearms being used in the homicides. So if you look back to 2016, 17, and those areas, you're looking between 40 and 50% is use of a gun in the homicides. Now we're looking at 70 to 75%, and I don't see that trend changing, unfortunately. And that's part of all the guns that are out there on things. So If you could go to the next slide, please. All right. So one of the things that we've been really working on with this is straw purchases. The straw purchases when someone who can legally buy a gun buys a gun and puts it in the hands of a criminal. And we've been working these cases and doing some really significant cases with it, and working to do it. And the picture up there, it shows a gun with basically a machine gun clip on the bottom to be able to fire 30 or 40 rounds from that gun. I forget the exact number on it, but it was a one that was pretty difficult to look at. So about 750 illegal firearms through these investigations we've gone and worked through. And unfortunately, we're only recovered about 20% of these. And so these investigations are going pretty wide in terms of these gun trafficking organizations that are buying guns and putting them out there. And so we're seeing this rise in gun crimes, and it's everywhere. Across the country, across Pennsylvania, and Pottstown is not an exception to this. So one of the things that we have been able to do is procure some grant funding, which is what I want to talk about tonight here. If you go to the next slide, please. All right. So two pieces of technology I want to focus on. One is called NIBIN, which is the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network, and the other is ShotSpotter. And these two weapons for us, I guess I shouldn't use the term weapon, but we are going to be able to use this technology in a way to, we believe, prevent crime. So I'll talk about NIBIN quickly first. If you could go to the next slide. As I said, National Integrated Ballistic Information Network. This network has over 6.2 million fired cartridge casings data in it. And we often refer to these as FCCs, fired casings, cartridge casings. Now, what's interesting about this is we talk a lot about fingerprints, right? Well, the shell casings are the fingerprint of a gun. So each are unique. Every gun that fires, the lands and grooves, and as it goes through, has its own identity. And so this database is out there for us now to tap into. So whenever there's a fired cartridge casing that is seen, we put it in. We work with ATF and other agencies from across the United States that are all putting this in. Now, federally, they're now required to put all of those in too, and our next work on this, because it's going so well for us, is the adjoining counties. Philadelphia has its own, and Berks has its own, but Chester and Delaware County and Bucks County are going to be bringing us their cartridge casings, because this goes into different places. So if you go to the next slide, please. So what this does is when you put the casings in, it'll get a match on it, and then we go and work the leads that come from that. And when I say it, these have been pretty significant. I'll point to a couple cases that we have, and they are significant in solving these cases. If you could go to the next slide, please. All right, so this helps us quickly in terms of investigative leads. It helps us look at witness accounts, and it provides the forensic technology evidence at trial. So we had a case recently. A young woman was targeted and killed at point blank range at a Dunkin' Donuts drive-through in Cheltenham. Her 11-year-old son was in the back seat when the shooter came up with it. If you could go to the next slide, please. And if we can't hear it, I'll commentate on it. All right. Well, that's me talking. So what happened with this case is on April 7th, the shooter went up to a man on Broad Street and shot him 11 times. Rachel King in Cheltenham was April 11th. We put the casings in, we got a match, same car, same gun, same person. So killed 2 people in the course of 4 days. But that ballistic match was an integral part of the evidence in the case. And so, that's what we are able to do. So the next thing I'd like to discuss with you, and it's one of the things that I am most excited about, is ShotSpotter, which is technology that we were able to get through a grant from PCCD, Pennsylvania Crime and Delinquency, and it was a significant grant to fight gun violence. Now, we were able to get this technology for 2 places in Montgomery County, Norristown and Pottstown. And what this is going to do is cover a 2 square mile area. I have looked at this and looked at it as kind of creating a safe haven, and hopefully the video will work from ShotSpotter to explain this. But the folks from the company used a different term when we were talking, and they said a dome of protection, which is I hope what we are going to see. So this technology triangulates where a gun is being fired. If you could go to the next slide, and we'll see if this video works. And otherwise, I'll just explain it.
Give me a second here. This is working, I swear.
Yeah, I saw you playing with it earlier, and it was working.
There we go.
All right. Yes. Okay, so let me talk about ShotSpotter and keep trying to see if this goes up. So what this technology does, it's audio based. So they put up the audio sensors throughout this 2 square mile area. And when a gun is fired, it triangulates, and it triangulates to a specific location. And it's down to like feet away from where this goes. It can give you different sides of the street if people are shooting at each other. It can give you caliber. It can give you a lot of different things. So if you think about what this is going to enable us to do. One, if somebody gets shot, the police are going to know where the person is, and they're going to know quickly and be able to get to the scene, and they're going to be able to save lives that way. You know, I can tell you cases over the years where somebody got shot and nobody called the police, and number one, we're hours behind on an investigation, and two, potentially the life could have been saved, you know, with this. The other things is getting the police there in a knowledgeable way, because the work, this goes to a lab, basically, that's listening to these, and there are 150 cities throughout the United States, and it will take you to it picks up the audio, they review it, they delineate, all right, this is fireworks, this is something, you know, else. And then they're able to say, all right, shots, this area, they pull up, they're able to map it and give it to the police within 60 seconds. 60 seconds. So that's putting that, you know, out and enabling, you know, the police to do their jobs. And if there's shots are fired, go and get those casings, which works with the NIBA machine. And so should be able to connect things up and working through this. So here's why there's such a need for this, and I didn't realize this until I really delved into this. But if you could go to the next slide, please. Well, let me go through this, and then I'll talk about the other aspects. So it's detecting it in a public place. It won't get it in a house or something along those lines. Provides that location. This is 24/7, 365 days, and it distinguishes the others. Next slide, please. All right, so here's the problem. In less than 20% of the cases or the time when there are shots fired, someone calls the police. Less than 20%. Camden has found, and they have ShotSpotter over there, unfortunately, it's about 88% of the time, no one calls the police when a gun is fired. So this is going to give us the ability to do it. And the other problem with a 911 call, you know, is, you know, I think I heard gunshots out there. Well, where? Down the street, you know, and not like the specific location. And so that's the advantage of this technology, to get the police where they need to be in the specific locations. And you know, I hope that when we get this up and running, it will be making a difference in our community. Now, I had hoped that this was going to be up and running this summer. We have been delayed a bit from PICO because we have needed to use some of their polls on things. That's a work in progress, and we're pushing them along. We have, you know, we may have to be out in the community more and asking for, you know, the public's help and your all help in terms of locations to get this up, and I'm really trying to push it because I believe we'll be able to save lives with this, and that's the point of what we're able to do. Now, this grant is for 2 years, and you know, and time's running on it. So I'm really trying to get this up. We hope we'll have an academic working with us to study how it works, and hopefully that'll be helpful if it works the way we hope it's going to. That we're going to be able to apply for other grants down the line. So if you go to the next slide. 2 square miles. It is data-driven in terms of the location of this and how this was in both Pottstown and Norristown. And it basically goes to locations where over the years there have been shots that have been that didn't fired. So, again, we had a target date for this summer. I'm hoping still we'll be able to do that, but doing this as quickly as we can. Next slide, please. So we've looked at this nationally, and there is a proven track record on this, and they are touting it in a lot of communities where there's a lot more gun violence than we have here in Pottstown. And that's hope. I hope from this, is that comparatively we don't have a lot, but if we can stop it in this community, it's going to make a difference for everybody living here. It's going to make a difference for economic development in the community because people will feel safe coming here. And I think all of those things work together to keep this community on the trajectory that we all know it can be on, and investment in this should continue. And I hope this is just going to be another tool that we're able to do. If you go to the next slide. So we have to go quickly on these things, and the 60 seconds that we'll know whether a gunshot was fired or not in the community is going to help us save lives, get illegal firearms off the street, and will, I believe, lead to a reduction in both violent crime and illegal guns off the street. If you go to the next one, please. So we also hope, and we're not going to be quiet about this, we want people to know that we have this up and going in the community. Why? Because we want to make it really unattractive for anyone to shoot a gun in our community, right? So this is going to be out there, and I know I'm doing this here at a public meeting. I'll do it in public every chance I get, and I hope you will all do the same thing. It'll also help delineate. We had a question on fireworks and things like that. Delineates what is being done, so that you don't have a situation where police are going in to a situation thinking it's gunshots when it's only fireworks. And hopefully we'll be able to de-escalate feuds that sometimes go into the retaliatory shootings. Go to the next one, please. All right.
Unfortunately, I can't get these to play either. I apologize. But if you want to send these videos, I can make sure I get them out to.
No, it's okay. I think I've been able to cover them as well as they have. But the one video, unfortunately, was of a shooting that was down the street here. The defendant on that case was just sentenced, but he had a AR style rifle that he was shooting down the street that could have affected innocent bystanders and things like this. So we're going to have the ability to locate and do this much more quickly as we work forward on it. If you go to the next slide, please. I'll finish it up. So just to give you an idea of what we were able to do with this grant. It's not just technology. We have more boots on the ground. We have additional county detectives that we were able to hire. We have a group now that's going to be working and doing these leads that come in. We have analysts that are doing incredible work with it, and I hope that you all will see a continued effort in our community to minimize crime and keep people safe. I'll take questions.
For me, where I live, it's of all the obstacles that Pottstown has. Personally, from my constituents and family, gun violence, it pegs it out completely. So I'm really happy to hear that you have some of this new technology to help, counter that, because it's, anytime you see a shooting in the newspaper, or if I catch it on my cameras or hear it, it really kind of shakes our reputation of people wanting to come here and live. So in that case, when you apply for grants, I'm sure we've done everything we can to help. If you need letter support from us or regional planning or anything else,
Well, look,
it's available.
your chief did a fantastic job, and we went in it in a combined way. So I did the overall grant for gun violence for the county, and we were able to get, and there was a separate grant that works with cameras and other things like that, that we were able to get. So the combination of these things is really gonna make a difference. I am certain of it. So, what we worry about is gun violence in our communities, where kids don't feel safe, going out and playing and doing those kind of things. This is a chance to minimize that, so.
And also, what else I could do to help me, once they are caught, make sure the sentence matches the crime that happens and they're not let out.
You bet. And look, that's, when we talk about a balanced approach on it, we do a lot with our diversionary programs. Diversionary programs are not for gun violence. We are taking these cases very, very seriously, and our judges are taking it very, very seriously. Some of the sentences in these gun trafficking rings have been extraordinarily long. And I think, that's because they understand the impact this is having on our communities. Mayor?
I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, I know it's new technology. How does the dispatch work? Does it go through 911 or will it come directly to the Pottstown Police Department?
Yeah, so there's several different ways that it can go, and we've been meeting with our county dispatch on it. But this is so advanced that it can go to the police officers' mobile phones.
Okay.
And so you're able to do it and send it out through like the in-car technology in the police cars, through phones and through the 911 dispatch center. So we're gonna have it coming a few different ways.
Okay, so there's options.
Yeah.
Great. And did you say that it doesn't work if there's a shot fired indoors?
Right. This is outdoor. And look, there's a chance that it may pick it up, but they don't guarantee it, right?
It's because of the walls sound.
Right,
Right.
and some of this, and the way this works, and this goes back to like World War II technology that has just gotten more and more advanced, is these sensors triangulate to the location, and that's the importance of getting those up and the audio aspects of it. So it's not, it's not tied into the camera system or
Right.
anything else like that.
Once we have established and set up the equipment, is it movable? Because it's, you said 2 square miles. I don't think we would need to move it, but I'm just saying if
Yeah.
there was issues outside of that area, could we eventually? like,
Yeah,
move?
and I asked the question also too, is it, and I think there's potential to go wider.
Okay.
On it. We said 2 square miles in each of those communities because that's, we didn't want to be too greedy with the grant. When I got it, I was ecstatic because this this is something that I've been looking at and trying for many years. Norristown Police Department, I think, tried for it 3 or 4 different times and didn't get it. And so I guess we wrote a good grant.
Thank you very much.
So
And Mr. Steele, first of all, thank you for your commitment to our community. Really appreciate it. It's great. You obviously, as the head law enforcement person in our county, have a strong belief in the effectiveness of this program. Sadly, you did say to us that the delay in that is coming from perhaps, can you share with us what the concerns that PICO would have in installing these and the obstacles that you're trying to overcome on something that you know as a professional in this is going to work? It's going to increase your effectiveness.
So I've been back and forth with them. They're working with us, but I think there's a number of hurdles that they have to go through in terms of different administrative requirements and things that they have. And you know, there's a significant number of polls that we are going to be using in both of these. There's also a Delaware County spot that is also getting ShotSpotter. And so they're trying to work through each of those. I'll get back to you, though. And if there's too many delays, I could use your help and support in that. And you know, I hope they'll continue to work with us. I'm confident that they are. I won it yesterday, and it doesn't appear that I'm getting it that quickly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
And it sounds like the answer might be no. And I work in technology, so that's where I'm going with this. It sounds like it can only pick up gunshots. There's no capability for voice or to be mistaken for a gunshot or things like that.
Yeah, so the numbers that they give and if you want, the company will come in and do a briefing for you on it. My understanding of it is the sensors are up pretty high. And so they're not gonna pick up like a conversation or something along those lines. It's really tuned in to the gunshot aspect, and then they capture that, and that's what the software, I guess, does to do it. And then the location that they have, and there's one in East Coast and one in West Coast, where you have a lot of trained individuals that are reviewing it to confirm gun, fireworks, car backfire, construction equipment, things like that, to be very specific on gunshots. Okay?
Thank you.
So there's a specific frequency for each shot? Or something they measure?
They do, and it's and you have different types of weapons that are being used out there. You have switches that are being put onto things to make converting a Glock into a machine gun type of thing. So that is gotten so advanced for them that they're able to get caliber and doing things like that, and being able to notify the police of what they're going into. Like if
That's
you
good.
have, right, and that's an important part of this for officer safety. A 911 call, somebody's shooting outside. Well, this is gonna be to that location.
Not only,
They'll be able to map it.
plus, this is what they're shooting. Nice.
So would we be able to have the company come in or talk to them?
Yep, they're willing to do
I'm
it.
just always concerned about
Excuse me.
privacy and how far we go with technology.
Yeah,
In
and
some
then-
areas, we're definitely going too far without enough knowledge.
Yeah, I think and that's one of the things that we had to look at with this, and talking to other places that have done it, and I'm confident that this is not going to be like an invasion of people's privacy. This is public safety. This is people shooting guns, and us knowing like where and how many, and being able to link them up. Okay,
And it sounds great, yes. Thank you for answering my questions.
you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Forward the ring alerts to chief that I get on my phone. Shots fired, maybe. Fireworks? Who knows? So.
Yeah.
And look, but the other thing with this is I don't want the public to say, oh, like somebody else will take care of it. We still need the public. If somebody hears shots fired, please
Still have to call.
call the police, right? Like that, we can't do this alone. This is partnerships with our community, and we still need everybody's involvement in it. All right?
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for the gift. And don't hesitate to ask if you need help fighting with Pico, or is there anything we can do to accelerate this installation? We'll help.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
There we go.
Good. Yeah. What do-
This is the gentleman for this, for the Dwight Company. These gentlemen here, just-
So next up, we have a presentation from the Dwight City Group.
Do you need to answer that, Justin?
There's a question if you want to switch to your new speaker on the screen. So it's graying out the presentation.
Ginny, that's on your end. Just exit out. We're not
Oh,
gonna need this.
there you
sound
go.
for this.
There we go.
You're good.
Okay. All right, next is a presentation of the Dwight City Group.
Just let me know which one you guys want to start with then, whenever you're ready.
That's the best sound we've had in months. Thank you.
Hello. All right. Well, thank you so much for having me tonight.
Sure.
We're going to go through 3 quick presentations with you. The first is a presentation on ourselves as a company and who we are. The next is a presentation which you have before you on a project we would like to do here in Pottstown. And then the third is a case study of projects that we've done in the surrounding MSAs. So hopefully between the 3, it'll give a plethora of information for you to inquire and review. So starting off with our first presentation, the Dwight City Group presentation. And you can just keep scrolling for a little bit. There's some legal jargon and confidentiality. So essentially, Dwight City Group is a acquisition division from Dwight Capital. Dwight Capital is a large HUD lender. And one of our strategies is to acquire assets that we can achieve a revitalization component, a value add component, bring back to life maybe some historical components of the property or of the area. Next slide, please. And this is just an example of some of our portfolio. You can scroll through this as you go along, but essentially, we own assets that are adaptive reuse projects, old multifamilies that were brought back to utilization, office buildings that needed revitalization, or old warehouses which were converted into a mix of apartments, retail, as well as some office space as well. Keep going, this is just more of our portfolio for your viewing pleasure. And then if you can just go to the next slide, please. Sorry, normally I control the mouse. And this is, this is some of our team. Our team goes on for several slides, but we have a diverse group of folks who work with us, both on the construction side as well as on the architectural side, the engineering side, as well as community outreach. So we try to make sure that we're bringing to the table folks that can add value in a myriad of ways when we take on an opportunity such as the one we'd like to present to you today. So, yeah. We can go to the next presentation on the Pottstown location. So the site we're inquiring about today is located on Hanover Street. It's an older building that has been utilized in different ways over the past, close to 100 years. And our plan with it is to revitalize it for a multifamily project with a ground floor retail to better service the community. Next slide, please. Keep going. Yeah, you can keep going. All right, perfect. So currently, the building is basically 100% vacant. It's utilized with month-to-month leases, but our goal is to convert it into 85 residential apartments, the smallest being 800 square feet. The largest in the plan would be close to 1,300 square feet. It would be a blend of 1-bedrooms and 2-bedroom apartments with in-suite office space. We don't create 3-bedroom or studio apartments. We find that the most utilized apartment style is either 1-bedrooms and 2-bedrooms. And in doing so, we feel that it services the needs of folks who are transitioning either career-wise or family-wise between being single to with somebody else in their life or with an additional roommate, but yet at the same time, we're not creating, something that could maybe be an undue burden to the community by creating, large 4- and 5-bedroom apartments. Next slide, please. So these are some outside shots, and if you can keep going, you'll see that the building, although it's still utilized on the interior, the exterior does need some sprucing up, and there's a lot that we can do on the exterior while still maintaining the integrity of what the building is. And that is that when we revitalize a building, we don't want to lose the fact that this building was utilized for something historical, whether it was a warehouse, or whether it was a mill, or whether it serviced the community by being a place where a lot of folks remember their parents or grandparents working. And when we fix up the building, we try to make sure that we keep that historical integrity in the property as it moves on to its next phase of usability as a multifamily apartment. Currently, we are doing about 500 apartments in revitalized out of older warehouses, both in the Philadelphia MSA and as well as in Delaware County. We've met with multiple municipalities in the MSA all the way down to Wilmington, Delaware, speaking with them about how to revitalize or how to repurpose some of their older buildings that maybe don't fit the business needs of the community today. You can go to the next slide, please. This is just something about their zoning. We understand that the zoning requires a minimum of 800 square foot per apartment. We went through the drawings with our architect, Raymond Rollo, who's here with us today, and we made sure that every apartment will match that requirement in the zoning guidelines. Please keep going. Thanks. This is a future renovations concept, and when I show you our actual product that we did create, you'll see it's not just a picture. We are able to take some of these older buildings and make them look like this when we're done, and it's really exciting to see it happen over an extended period of time. This would be a modern exterior to the older facade that's currently there. Keep going, please. And again, interior finishes. We give modern update finishes while trying to keep the totality of the window line. Our rule is when we go into a building, if the window line is 18 feet in diameter, we're going to keep it. If the facade has a certain unique characteristic, such as the old mushroom columns that were prevalent in the 20s and 30s and 40s, we make sure to keep it. Go on next. And again, this is an example of what the lobby could look like, utilizing some of those mushroom columns that are there, but at the same time, having a fitness center where it's become more modernized and it's an accentuated piece to the building versus something that you cover up with sheetrock. Next, please. This is a unit floor plan. We took the current floor plan of the building that's located on site at 274 Hanover, North Hanover, and this gives you an example of how one of the floor plans would look. It also gives you the type of apartments that would be there in terms of 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms mix. And it also shows you how we could use some of the, what we call dead space that doesn't have direct air light window line. So when we have a wide building, what do you do with all the space in the center? Well, the answer is you create more amenities for the tenants. And that could be a combination of gym, offices, and an extended lobby where folks can congregate and get to know one another. This is a sample 1-bedroom layout. All of our apartments that we recreate from these older buildings have in-suite washer dryers, full HVAC systems. We want the person to feel like it's their home. We never want the tenant to have to walk out because they're doing their laundry, or feel like they have to put a window unit into their window and, somewhat diminish the beautiful features that we've recreated on the exterior of the building. So we make sure that everything they need is within that unit. And you can just go a little further. This is an example of how the facade will look like with revitalized windows. Please a little further, keep going. More on the facade. This is a little bit on the exterior, and this is the next part where we are coming to you for a form of relief. So in order to comply with the current zoning guidelines, we have been informed by our council that it is 2 parking spaces per apartment. Now, if we want to do 85 apartments, that's 170 parking spaces. In order to do 170 parking spaces, we would need several acres of land. It's just not that feasible with the current site. So what we have proposed is a 1-for-1 parking ratio, and our architect here used the layout design of the current parking lot to show how we can easily fit 85 parking spaces and yet at the same time surround the area with greenery as to not disturb the tenants of the other properties nearby, nor to create an undue burden on the passerby eye that all they see is a giant parking lot. So if you please go to the next slide. This is an aerial shot. Keep going. Here we go. So this is our parking lot proposal that we present to you today. What we've done is we've utilized the current space that is on the parcel of land there, that is within the proximity of the property, and we've created means of adequate egress for the vehicles to get on and off of the property without necessarily disturbing the main North Hanover Road. And the reason we've done that is twofold. Our architect brought it up to us today that there's, in the zoning guidelines, there's more restriction if you want to bring cars in and out of North Hanover Road. And the second reason also is that if you do have a major thoroughfare coming in and off of North Hanover Road, that it could cause disturbance to traffic there versus having what we plan on doing, which would be a retaining wall surrounded by trees. So rather than folks looking out from North Hanover as they drive by the building and seeing a giant parking lot, they just see a row of beautiful local trees there. And that's something that we like to do whenever we're revitalizing a building. We ask ourselves, well, how is the community going to feel about our project, and what can we do to make them feel more comfortable with something such as this? And relating to the zoning and the architectural component, I brought him here because I'm not an expert on that. That's his job. Next slide, please. Okay, this talks a little bit about the neighborhood. The reason we do some neighborhood mapping is because we really care about who's going to be, residing in this property. Who are going to be our tenants? Who's going to be our community here? What are they going to be interested in? And the things that we look for in all of the buildings that we acquire is we want to be really close to public transportation. We want to be really close to a downtown thoroughfare with shopping, with restaurants, cafes, bars, places where people can go and enjoy their time. And the reason is that we will create in our building a real community, and that is that we have events in our lobby on a regular basis for the tenants. We also signed up for a program called Unity, and what Unity is, it's a multifaceted component. not only is a security system where you need to have a buzzer to get in the building, in some buildings, we even have it that you need to have the buzzer to even get onto your floor off the elevator. But additionally, what Unity gives you is it gives you your internet everywhere within the entire facility, including the exterior grounds. So people don't feel like they have to be in their home, in their apartment in order to work. They can take their laptop, they can take their phone, they can go to one of the garden sections, they can go to the lobby, they can go to the cafe that we plan on installing and the retail center, and they can work from there using the Wi-Fi from the home tapped into their own system. And that's something that we think really adds value, because not only do you see your apartment as your place of living, but you see the rest of the building as your home as well. Keep going. I believe that's the rest of our presentation. We have one final presentation, which I'd like to give to you tonight, and that is our actual case studies. These are buildings that we have purchased and we've worked on and completed. This is case study number 1. It's an old warehouse that we bought in the Kensington Allegheny neighborhood right next to Juniata in Philadelphia. When we acquired it, it had been vacant for many years, and it was unfortunately a blight on the community there. You can keep going through, this is what it looked like on the exterior prior to construction. We came up with a plan to turn it into 58 apartments. Next slide, please. This is what it looked like during construction and in the middle. Next slide, please. This is midway through construction. As you can see, it's starting to take hold and the apartments are coming together. Next slide, please. And then this is the final product, which is actually at 50% lease up. We have it 50% leased within 1 month. It has gated parking that you need to have key fob access to enter, so tenants feel secure. We have 35 security cameras going throughout the hallways and on the exterior. We have key fob entry access into the building and onto your floor, and people are really excited about this. Next slide, please. This is, again, an example of what we can do with the facade and with the building while maintaining the integrity. The window lines are exactly the same. We had not done anything to the exterior facade other than repair it and bring it back to its former glory. Next slide, please. And again, this gives you an example of the before and after of what the facade of the buildings look like. And as you can tell, we didn't do anything to structurally change it or nor to diminish from what it was. If anything, we brought it back to the way it used to be. And we've had folks who lived there who remember when they were a little kid walking by and how nice it looked in the 50s and 60s, and they're telling me, hey, oh my gosh, you took this building that we thought someone was just going to tear down, and you made it into something great again, so thank you. And that's what we try to bring back. Next slide, please. This is a building in Darby that we purchased, and it is going into lease up as we speak. First move-ins are July 1st, and we turned it into 80, I believe it was 86 apartments. The building also will have parking and has a gym. Keep going. And this gives you an aerial footage. The reason this is valuable is that everything that you see from the corner going all the way until the bridge that's green up until the river is part of this building. And it was sitting and been overgrown for 30, 40, 50 years. Nobody knew what to do with the building. And the municipality there, when we approached them and pitched our project, was really excited. And they took the risk because it was the first time we asked them for a parking variance. They also had a very high parking requirement in Darby. It was a two for one as well. And they gave us a parking variance in order to accomplish this project. So I'd like to show you what we've done with the next slide. Oh, go up a little too fast. There we go. Next, please. Okay. So during construction, again, we worked on the facade. You see the mushroom columns in the lobby that we actually box out so that when people come in, they see the mushroom columns, they know what this building was a part of, they know what this building is. And then as we continue its growth, next slide, please. We do the exterior the same way. We kept the window lines. We brought back the way that it was supposed to look with these massive, beautiful windows. There's anywhere between 16 to 18 feet diagonally across based off of where you're looking at from the facade. Next building, please. Next slide. And then the interior rooms begin to come together until finally, the next slide, please. This is what our hallways look like now. Next slide. And again, now this is what our interiors look like as finished. So once it's finished, we stage them. We bring actually the mayor and the other council members back into the building so they can be the first ones to see what they were able to bring to their community. And we give them the glory of being able to post it on their accounts and with their social media platforms before we even brought it out to market to rent. Because ultimately, when we come in by the grace of the council members, by them inviting us and allowing us to do these projects. And we understand that. So we always want to make sure that they're the ones that receive the appreciation for bringing out an old building into something new that everyone can enjoy. Next slide, please. And again, this is the finished facade. We bring it back to life without diminishing the window line, without diminishing the look of the historical site of the building. And then one final thing I just want to talk about, because we had such a beautiful presentation on safety and security. This is the first building to get shot spotter on it. We're the highest location in Delaware County, and they have just, the Darby Borough Police put a shot spotter at the top of our water tower. So we work actively with the community with whatever they need. We don't charge them rent, they tap into our electricity, we don't care. It's about being part of the family that builds something special. So, thank you. Are there any questions?
I have a question. For, I think it was the Philadelphia one, and you got this variance for parking?
That was Darby.
Darby. How did you make that happen? I'm really concerned about parking here. I live in a development where we weren't supposed to have this parking issue. We have a parking issue. If you go around town, we have a parking issue. So I just want to make sure that the one-to-one is something realistic and we're not just creating another problem or contributing to the problem.
You're 100% right. It's a great question. And
Thanks.
I think what it comes down to is how we vet our tenants, right? We always pitch our tenants from the perspective of, hey, you get one parking spot. We vet it out earlier on. You need to be somebody who's utilizing public transportation or somebody in a situation where you don't necessarily need two vehicles. We have, in most of our buildings, including the ones that are in Juniata, that we finished as well, that was on that presentation, a 1-for-1 parking ratio. And we would love to have more parking. We think there's always a great usability for more parking, whether it's for your tenants or for other people in the community. But sometimes that's not always feasible. So the way we handle it on an internal side is we try to make sure that in the vetting process, we use a good internal compass to see, is this somebody that's going to match what we're able to provide for them? Because ultimately, if I move somebody in who has 2 parking spots, and they're not happy because they're driving around and finding parking late at night and then have to walk 15 minutes to come to me, they're going to be leaving the next year. They're not going to stay long term. When a tenant moves out of a building, within 1 year, we lose money. The average apartment is down for 2 months. That means if I get 12 months of rental revenue, I lose 2 because I'm turning it over. Then I have to pay somebody to clean it and paint it. That's a month worth. So if I have somebody who doesn't stay for 2 years, I basically broke even. So my goal is to have somebody who comes and moves into our community and never leaves. If I move in somebody who's not comfortable because they have too many vehicles and they leave me, then I haven't done my job in creating a financially stable property for the company.
Thank you, and I really appreciate your commitment to the community and keeping the historical features of buildings. My personal experience, you don't meet many developers that think that way, and you're very enthusiastic about what you do and the way you talk about your properties, and I heard you use a lot of our words and come to me, so I really appreciate that. You seem to be very proud of what you do. So, and thank you for answering my question.
Of course, thank you, we are.
Anyone else?
I was gonna say, since I've been in council, I think there have been 2 burnt-out old warehouses that have been, renovated, and I think make a much better improvement, not only just aesthetically or for our tax base as well. But of course, before those went through, as Lisa pointed out, parking and I guess the density were things that we looked at pretty closely, and I think we'll do for this as well.
Where you've provided 1 parking space per unit, where do the visitors park?
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
I think that, well, unfortunately, you can't control for visitors, right?
True.
What we try to do is we try to make sure that at least we're taking care of our tenants, and our hope is that people are utilizing visitor parking during the day, right? So if we have a couple parking spots that aren't being during the day and somebody parks there while they're visiting a tenant, it's not the ideal situation, but it's the best that we can offer. With this particular plan, we were able to come up with a 1-for-1 ratio. We could definitely go back and see if we can fit in 3 or 4 visitor parking spaces on top of that to satisfy that requirement or to try to satisfy that concern. Because it is a valid concern, and I don't have a perfect answer for that, unfortunately.
I've been on council long enough to when we adopted the 2 spaces per unit. One of the driving forces for that was that the people that were moving into Pottstown were dual income. So every morning they get up and one drives east, one drives west, just for employment.
Right.
Which we tried to accommodate, and that's why that's there. Along with the fact that when a lot of the center of Pottstown was built, people didn't even have cars. There's plenty of places to park your car or your wagon or horse. 100 years later, things changed.
Right.
Yeah.
So our goal is really to attract folks who are working in the King of Prussia area.
Mm-hmm.
And our hope is that they'll utilize the train line to get to work. I mean, that's really the target audience are not folks coming who have 2 vehicles working in 2 different areas. It's, you're working in King of Prussia, they're gonna charge $3,500 for an apartment, we're gonna charge $2,500 for an apartment, and you're gonna take the train back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you're gonna justify it, and that's really our goal.
We don't have the train yet. We have a bus to Philly or Reading, but we don't have the train yet, and we're working on it. And if you can accelerate that, we'll welcome you with open arms.
We will push it, that's for sure.
Okay.
So I have-
Joe, you have a question?
Go to Northtown.
What was that?
I don't know.
Muted.
Is that Joe?
No.
Question for you.
Yes.
Yeah, the parking is going to be an interesting conundrum, okay? And when I was involved in the Beach Street lofts, one of the things that we're able to help them get across the finish line was an openness of the developer to sit down with the neighbors and hear their concerns and hear what their fears were and to try to address them. And would you be open to having a community forum for these people who would like to come in and they can share with you what their concerns are? I think the 2 parking spaces or the 1 parking space, I think you're marketing towards the next generation, okay? You're marketing towards my 28-year-old daughter, okay, who works at home.
No, I can't hear anything either.
Okay.
All right,
So
so it's something on their end then.
Correct.
Okay.
Not to me.
I just,
It went
I get
silent
it.
about 30 seconds ago. It's just kind of stopped.
Is it because the mic
let me
is,
make sure that I didn't, I might have muted them. Oh, I muted them. Sorry about that. I was trying to mute that caller and somehow the screen
I
jumped.
think that's what you're doing.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I guess,
oh, Ginny, you have to
Someone
click
request to unmute.
Click unmute, Ginny.
Click on the,
Unmuted.
yay,
Can you hear us now?
yay. Anyway,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, we lost you for a few minutes.
The next generation
Correct.
likes public transportation. They like the freedom. And I think, with how people work at home, okay, and they're not as dependent upon the vehicle as my generation was. So I get it. I think, yeah, I think that's your target, and we appreciate that.
So I want to address 2 parts that you said. First of all, yes, we always meet with any community members or community groups that want to, voice concern and have dialogue with us. We think that that's the best path forward at all times. The second thing is, you're absolutely correct. There's a reason why we create in-suite offices. There's a reason why we have an extra large lobby with really strong Wi-Fi and cafes where folks can, work part-time. Our office is made up of, I'm the oldest person in my office by comparison. Now, it doesn't mean I'm the oldest person in the field. I have construction managers who are significantly more experienced than me. But in our acquisitions office, I am the oldest person. And the reason is because we want to make sure that we understand what the next generations of renters need. And most of them do not own a vehicle, and if they do, it's one that a couple is sharing, because our office is closed on Friday. Everyone works from home on Friday. Well, I have friends who have offices that only are in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the rest of the week, Thursday, Fridays, they're working from anywhere. So with that in mind, part of our goal when we're looking at the next generation of renters, because most of the people who are significantly older than me either own a house or an apartment, they have a stabilized location long-term. They're not our target audience. It's somebody who's still figuring out their career, figuring out their next step in life. And because of that, it's not going to be two people having two vehicles. It's going to be either two sharing one or one with not at all. And that's what we're seeing from our renter base. And those types of people, you're right, they want to be able to work from anywhere. They don't want to be tied down. They want to work from home a few days a week. Then they want to get on a train and go somewhere and work from somewhere else for the rest of the week. And that's the type of folks that we think really appreciate what we build.
Well, I'm going to give you one that maybe you wouldn't expect, because I'm not a younger generation anymore, but I have one car. I work from home. We're never going back to the office.
Right.
Yeah, that appeals to me. You got me thinking maybe I'd like to sell my house. I mean, with an in-home office, that's big.
Yeah, it's a real game changer. People
It
are very
is.
excited.
A lot of people work from home now, and that's a huge deal. So, I might not be young anymore, but it's still appealing. I'm just saying.
You're still young.
So I was going to say, if I may, I don't think that the parking will be an issue down the road, just because we have to reduce our carbon footprint by a time period. People are not gonna have cars and are gonna be like biking, or electric vehicles, so, but my question is, if there is say the audience that you're targeting does have multiple cars, is there, where you're taking down the side building to make more space, is there an option to possibly do like a parking garage, like not a tall one, but to put an extra level on for more vehicles?
So we have options to actually do interior parking on the ground floor in some sections of the building to add additional spaces. We believe there can be a maximum of 8 to 12 additional parking spaces on the interior. We don't always use that as a first option. We use that as, well, do we need more spaces? And if so, where can we squeeze them? And that would be our secondary component. I'm glad you care about the environment, because Ray and I were just talking about how we could do a green roof on top of this building.
I was
'cause
just
it's
thinking
so
that,
thick
put a
and-
solar panel on top.
we were actually just talking about not a solar panel system, but actually a pure green roof,
That'd be
because
awesome.
of the amount of water velocity that would be flowing on there. And we were like, I don't think they'll ask for it, but we should do it anyways. And that's just the way that we think as a company.
You should definitely do that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for hearing us today.
We'll see
Appreciate
you
your time.
See you at planning.
Absolutely.
So Dan, if
Yes.
before this up, the developers and their staff met with borough staff several weeks ago. And we heard the presentation, and we suggested that they come to council and present their concept plans to you guys. And they still, I don't think, have engineering plans yet, but they certainly have concept plans. And what we heard as a staff was the limitation. And you guys know that parking issue would be a zoning hearing board appeal, and the zoning hearing have jurisdiction over whether or not there was a hardship to grant parking relief. So that would be the developer's next step if they wish to pursue the project. Make sure that they were compliant with the other borough zoning provisions, and then submit to the zoning hearing board, and then come back to you with that application, make a presentation. You would know exactly how many spaces they proposed, how many spaces they were short. They would give you information about visitor parking and the questions you guys have tonight. And then the zoning hearing board would hear the case and decide if a parking variance was warranted or not. And again, I don't want to speak for the developer. They're there tonight, but they also had offered, if council was interested, to see some of their other projects firsthand, they would make sure that they would set up some kind of transportation that you guys could tour their other facilities if you felt that would be helpful to make a decision on the issue of any part of the project. So at this point, there's nothing further for council to do. The developer can decide how they want to proceed. And if they are inclined to move forward, at least they would need a parking variance. I'm not aware of anything else they would need, but they'd have to do their homework and decide that their project otherwise met the borough zoning ordinance. So it'll be on them, and will go to their timing at this point.
Okay.
If possible, I would like to see one of the buildings that are similar, have similar parking issues, that you were able to make one-to-one parking work.
So we can definitely coordinate site visits to two of the locations that we have already done. We also have a building in Upper Darby across from 69th Street Station Terminal that was an old office building. We converted it into apartments that has absolutely no parking and it relies 100% on public transportation only.
I used to live down there.
Oh.
I know right where you're talking about.
So, and it's done very well.
Very good.
So I'll send an email to Virginia and you'll let me know what works best for the council there.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay, 8. Under subcommittees, infrastructure, we have the report in our package. Transportation, anything to add? Nothing.
No.
Efficient methods, Counselor Lebedinsky shall be here. He'll be here Monday evening with that. Ordinance review, Counselor Proskal, nothing. Economic development and business. Peggy?
Thank you.
Good evening, councilors, Madam Mayor. Oh, she's not there.
Just step
She
out
was.
for 1 second.
So I'm sure that you have been following the American Keg story.
Yep.
So American Keg is leaving here. The original owners have nothing to do with the property anymore. And despite our best efforts with elected officials and myself, the Germans have decided to move to Tennessee. There may be ramifications for them, but at this point we are just concentrating on making sure that the people that are left without jobs, that they are employed and they have opportunity here in the borough. So at last count, yesterday, I just wanted to let everyone know where we are with that. Some have already been placed, but we do still have 4 to 5 hourly employees, 2 engineers, and 1 financial controller that is looking for a place of employment. And so we are continuing to work with Montgomery County Workforce, the WIB, as well as just companies in the area. So we have made those contacts and we will continue to work to make sure that those individuals are gainfully employed.
Good.
On a happier note, the small business grants, which were put out by the county, focused on veteran-owned, minority-owned, women-owned businesses. 3 small businesses within the borough, adding up to $30,000, have been granted to those borough businesses, so we're really happy about that. And that's been something that has been successful for them, and all of the businesses are extremely grateful for that money. At one point, I walked into a business and the person said, I'm able to keep people employed because of this money. So that's how important these grants are when they come up and those opportunities. We have had 4 total responses to the sweeping of the sidewalks, And we are leaning towards one company, and we hope to have something firmed up this week so that cleaning can start as soon as possible. We know that people are out enjoying the streets and strolling along High Street, and the more that we can get it just beautified, the better it will be. So we will be making that decision as soon as possible and getting them contracted for 4 or 5 days a week. So that's economic development, and I'm assuming you would like me to just move on to land bank.
I will in a moment.
Okay.
Many years ago, when the farm started, I went to the borough and asked if I could borrow their pressure washer, and we would clean the sidewalks before the opening of the farm. The businesses didn't express much of an interest in it. So Counselor Proskal and I took the borough power washer and we cleaned would be north side of High Street from Lastic all the way down. I'm gonna stick my neck out and ask if we offered that equipment to the businesses now, would they like to clean their facades and sidewalks?
I bet they would. I'm sure that there are certain ones that will
Okay.
do it. There are ones that will not, I'll tell you that flat out. But there are those that will do it, that if we
Yep.
offered it to them, yes.
As I do remember when Ryan and I were finished, it was amazing, the difference, how well it cleaned up.
This one company that we're looking at has expressed that, as well as cleaning up the leaves and doing like the cracks and
Oh, okay.
everything.
All right.
So we're hoping that they will have an attention to detail like that.
Okay, that'd be nice.
But for sure, if
Yeah.
it looks like it needs a little more detail,
Yeah.
we'd be happy to coordinate that.
Staff might hate me for offering, but it made a nice appearance last time.
Great.
Okay, so tell us about the land bank.
So 208 Gable is a property that has been completely rehabbed, and it was purchased by the land bank from judicial sale, and then it was sold from the land bank to a private developer. Done a wonderful job, and it is now on the market. So, and that was a hoarding situation, so that was quite a cleanup effort. It's a much improved property.
We heard.
We are hoping that we are close to going to settlement on the 3 other properties with the buyers. So that is the Queen Street property. There is a Hale Street lot that the borough had owned at one point, and then also a property on Chestnut.
Good.
I think that new one that was just redone might have sold, or there's an offer.
Yeah.
That's a really nice
It
house.
wouldn't have lasted long. Yeah.
No, it didn't.
Yes, so it's a really nice property, and I know the neighbors are thrilled.
I bet.
Very good.
Thank you.
Emergency Services, Chief Hand, are you here? There you are. My report's on file. Okay, thank you. Got that. Human Relations, Ms. Levigood.
That microphone is not for short people.
Table. There's one on the table.
I think I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. Good evening, councilors, council president, Madam Mayor. June is Pride Month. It's a month-long observance in celebration of LGBTQ+ people and the history, culture, and contributions of those people and their communities. Father's Day, Day to Recognize Fathers, Fatherhood, and Parental Bonds in general, is Sunday, June the 18th. And Juneteenth, the official name of the federal holiday is Juneteenth National Independence Day. It's also called Emancipation Day, Freedom Day, Jubilee Day, Black Independence Day. This day, June the 19th, commemorates the end of slavery. Actually was in Texas, which was the last state of the Confederacy with slavery. So that's when it was done. The federal holiday will be observed on Monday, June the 19th, 2023. And then the commission's June meeting will be held on Tuesday, June the 13th, at 6 o'clock in council chambers, and everyone is invited to attend.
Could I ask you just a question? And I'm going to put you on the spot, and if you don't want to answer it right now, that's okay.
Okay.
But would you mind, well, letting everybody know that we have a Human Relations Commission, and just quickly what we do and how to get us if they need us?
Oh, yes. The Human Relations Commission, little quickly, it's a commission which is formed by borough ordinance. It's a little different because it's not any committees formed by council. There's, in the ordinance, there's certain things that we have to do. Keep an eye on the relations, what's going on in the community. If anybody in the community feels that they have been discriminated against within you put me on the spot.
I know I did, I'm really sorry.
No, and I always try to have my speech prepared.
I know you do. It totally caught you off guard.
You did. If they feel that they have been discriminated against based on race, sex, religion, certain other areas of the Pennsylvania, the state human relations law, they can come to us confidentially, okay, and we can assist them to fill out the paperwork and everything if they want to proceed and file a claim with the State Human Relations Commission. They can reach us at hrc@pottstown.org. We do have an area on the borough's website, so they can go to the borough's website.
Thank you.
And it lists everything on the borough website, what we do.
And sorry for putting you on the spot. Thank you very much.
Okay, Ricketts Center. Counselor Kirkland?
Nothing at this time. I will attempt to have a summer report on Monday.
Very good. Pottstown School District, Counselor Lindsay. Anything?
Okay. Yes, I got a little bit. I got some things to discuss. So, if you was at the Memorial Day Parade, I wasn't. But if you was at the Memorial Day Parade, the high school and middle school band made history. They combined the two bands. I used to play clarinet in the band, so this is awesome. The middle school and high school band joined together and played in the parade. So that's a big thing in band world because middle school and high school came together. So they practiced every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning. They was dedicated so they can show their skills at the Memorial Day Parade. So I thought, so that was a history made for Pottstown Middle and High School. Also, there were graduations going on and proms. And I want to thank John Armato because he takes all the pictures and it feel like you there when you see the kids and they all in their caps and gowns and it's just really nice and prom and everything. So thanks, John, and he tags me in it. So thank you, John, for doing that. Let's see. Oh, today, Lisa and I were at Power again. So Power Interfaith, it is an organization for justice of our fair funding. Believe it or not, we are still at this. So apparently, PA's school funding system was declared unconstitutional because it's discrimination against low wealth districts, which include most of our Black and brown students. And we know that's in Pottstown. We know that's in Norristown. So we had to go to Harrisburg again because they're not passing the budget, the money that we need to move forward. So we went there and we went to talk to all of the schools that was affected. We all went in and we and certain people went and spoke to our legislators. And there was a press conference also. So we did that and we got back later on today. And it was disturbing that Pottstown didn't show up as they should, because I know a lot of people complain about things like taxes, and they don't and they don't just they don't come out. But they say stuff on social media, but they don't come out to fight for these things in Harrisburg. And that's what we need to do. We need to fight in Harrisburg. It's all about Harrisburg. You can come to me, you can come to Justin, you can come to any of us. And it's not about what we do. It's Harrisburg. They make the decisions and we vote these people in. So we need help. So I hope the next time we go to Harrisburg, instead of you guys posting stuff on social media, you come and join us in Harrisburg and fight for this money. We'll continue to pay high taxes, property taxes. That's my soapbox. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Garner, you have some general information for us.
I do, Dan, but did we miss the library report?
Oh, no, we got a call from Mindy.
She's not available tonight.
She's not available. She's gonna send a report to us. I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know that.
That's all right.
The topic for the discussion tonight, given that we have 4 zoning applications on the agenda, was going to be a discussion about zoning variances in the zoning hearing board. And I had about a 30-minute presentation ready to go to talk to you guys about that. But given the length of the meeting so far, I'll try and shrink it to about 3 or 4 minutes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd want to hear me for 30 minutes. The concept of zoning essentially regulates the use of land, and the state allows us to do that. Council knows that council, in this case, writes the zoning ordinance, council amends the zoning ordinance, and council essentially functions as the legislature to enact these laws that regulate the use of property. The zoning hearing board, on the other hand, although the members are appointed by council, they serve as the judges. And as the judges under the law, which is really the municipality's planning code in Pennsylvania, they serve to interpret the borough zoning ordinance, and they also have the ability to grant either variances or special exceptions. And rather than to go into detail about what a hardship is, because I was going to do that, I thought, given the comparison and contrast of the applications that are on the agenda tonight versus the presentation we just heard from the applicants for the Hanover Street project, we could just talk a little bit about council's role in that. And again, I don't want to belabor the point, but in most cases, council does not have all of the information available when it looks to make a decision on these zoning cases. Unfortunately, all you have is the application. And many times the application isn't very comprehensive. It isn't very complete. And therefore, you're looking at it just as on a piece of paper, and they're asking for a variance for this. It might be a change in use. It may be some kind of dimensional relief. But you don't have the ability to hear witnesses and take evidence like the zoning hearing board does. And the zoning hearing board holds a hearing on this, and the applicant presents evidence for the board to consider. And the board then is supposed to listen to the facts and apply the law and determine whether the property owner or applicant is entitled to zoning relief. So that's kind of the reason that I've always suggested to you, unless it's really a major issue for the borough, it's probably better to allow the zoning hearing board to hear the case and make a decision. You're always permitted to weigh in. You're always permitted to support or oppose an application. But since you really don't have all the information to make a judgment on, it's probably, in most cases, best to let the zoning hearing board do their job, listen to testimony, and then decide. And if you look and we'll talk about the 4 applications a little bit later. And I don't mean to say that they're not important applications, but they're typically more neighbor issues as opposed to borough-wide issues. And the presentation you heard from the North Hanover Street folks about a renovation of an old building with 84 apartment units and creating a parking lot and having potentially a parking issue, to me that certainly is a borough issue. That if they come back to you with an application and with the information, that's something that I think you as council would want to weigh in on. Whether you're for it or against it, that's up to you. But that's certainly a major request for zoning relief, assuming they come back and do that. The 4 applications that are in front of you tonight don't have that kind of significance, at least in my opinion. And so for purposes of zoning, I would ask that you just look at the applications, and if you feel that it's a significant issue, I would say weigh in. And if it's not a significant issue, I think the zoning hearing board is well versed in zoning law and they can make a decision. Not trying to take any authority away from you, but you're placed in a very difficult position trying to judge something without all the facts. And in many cases, all you have to look at is what the application says or what Justin and I can explain to you based upon what the application contains. So that's kind of my little pitch on zoning tonight. I hope it dovetails a little bit with the agenda, and in future we can get into more details about variances and hardships and all that, but I don't want to take any more time tonight unless you guys have questions, and I'm always happy to answer questions.
No questions, but I would like to hear more at a future meeting. I think it's really helpful.
Anyone else? Thanks, Chuck. Okay, mayor's report. The mayor?
Yes, good evening. I will try to condense this. So I apologize, I'm not trying to just list off things, but they're also in the infrastructure report. So May was very, very busy. We did our annual Colonial May Fair, Edgewood Cemetery, and cleanup and art fair. We had 2 car shows. We had a powwow at Riverfront Park. We lost a white owl named Ollie. He is still at large. Sly Fox goat races. Princess Jenny came out of retirement, blew everyone away, and won again. The farm opened twice. We have a new microgreen vendor, which if you haven't had microgreens, they're amazing. I didn't know what they were. An 11-year-old sold them to me. 1 bite equals 2 vegetables, he told me, and I highly recommend the sunflower microgreens. Put them on a salad, sandwich, very good. Mother's Day tea on the Colebrookdale Railroad was phenomenal. It's one of the highlights of the month. I haven't been in such a long time, probably pre-pandemic. It was just beautifully decorated, and I took my friend Janet, who is like a second mother to me, and it was just beautiful, delicious, and Nathaniel just does an amazing job. So if you haven't gone on any of the Colebrookdale Railroad excursions for holidays and such, I suggest you check it out. Operation 143 had their open house behind Rivet. It's a great space. I don't know why I didn't know they were behind there the whole time, but if you don't know about Operation 143, it's also known, previously known as Operation Backpack. They fight children's hunger 1 backpack at a time. There are lots of volunteer opportunities and donor opportunities. Just in April alone, they served 406 students with 11,354 meals, just in April. They have expanded, so they are they will go to the students' homes now, and the backpacks have turned into plastic bags to reduce any feelings of stigma that these kids are poor or don't have food at home and need to get the extra backpack. So, and to date, they've served 481 students and 82,348 meals. So that is a phenomenal amount of kids that they've served with such a small organization, and they do such a great job. So I want to thank them, and if you're interested in helping pack food, it's lots of fun. You can go over there. We had a Go Forth fundraiser, basket raffles, new T-shirts. If you're interested, go on Go Forth's website. They're very cool, like retro.
I want to know why I didn't win a basket.
I didn't either. Pension board meeting, uniform, non-uniform, nothing to report. I did yoga at the carousel with baby goats. That was pretty awesome. A little more goat than yoga, but you missed out. I also want to thank Parks and Rec for all the amazing things that they do. The Memorial Day Parade, all of the things I mentioned, they partner with everyone, the powwow. And I know you're super busy this summer, so thank you for all that you do. I had the privilege, sorry for the late notice. I didn't get much notice myself, but on June 2nd, I had the privilege of uniting Richard Thomas Werner and David Gola Garcia at their home in Stowe. And I waived my customary fee, mostly because I was so hot and sweating all over. I just couldn't charge them. If you haven't seen the new Montgomery County Community College renovated community space, please go. It's the building on College Drive, not by the park. Keep going. Amy Altwater gave me a tour. It is, I couldn't even believe it was the same building. So it is open to the community. I will say that again. It is open to the community. You do not need to be a student to come and enjoy the community room at the college. They have everything from high-tech renovations, new furniture. They've blown out tons of walls. There's meeting spaces. There's collaboration spaces. There's a new student rec center and game room with pool tables and all that kind of stuff. TVs, computers. They have an esports team, which has this new high-tech gaming room. I felt like I was like in Ender's Game. It was very cool. And they have showers and laundry for students now. They have an automated cafe. They have this very cool thing called an anatomage. I don't know how it's pronounced. It's a anatomage machine, which allows for virtual dissection. So it really helps for students that are in the medical field or just want to, like, or taking anatomy, what have you. They don't have to go into the lab. It is very cool. I wish they had that when I was a kid because I had to dissect a cat, and that was gross. Oh, and they also have this projector in motion, which looks like a huge globe in the middle of the room, and you can sit. You feel like you're on like the Star Trek, like Voyager, and you can just sit there, and they can project on this. It looks like a spinning globe. Any images, like movies, they can teach on it. You can pull up the pollution from 2017 and see like where it was, like all over the world. It's phenomenal. I had no idea they were renovating this, and so I was blown away. And I have to say, I went to the college at the Bluebell campus today for a meeting, and Pottstown's so much nicer now. So I'm excited. What else did we do? Oh, the Montgomery County Mayor Squad, me and a bunch of other mayors in Montgomery County, we crafted a proclamation for Mayor Jenna of Royersford and presented it to her at the Royersford Council meeting in gratitude of her hard work and leadership. If you don't know, she is stepping down and moving to South Korea. She is going to be greatly missed. And I'm going to miss our little competitions. As you may remember, I think the first competition I did with her back in 2018 was like the random acts of kindness between Pottstown and Royersford. We've done the shop local competitions. She's going to be missed. So, in honor of Mayor Jenna, Montgomery County has declared officially June 13th to be Mayor Jenna Antonowitz Day. And so I would encourage all citizens on June 13th to do at least one act of selfless service in honor of Mayor Jenna. update for you, sorry. Cable Street
Well, I'm
property.
being caught off guard too.
No, I'm just saying an update. The property that I was assisting that's flooding on
Yeah.
100, PennDOT is delaying, so I'm working with Cerise's office to try to get them back out to dig the gully so that the homes stop flooding.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, coming up, I'm gonna skip a lot of this, sorry. June 10th, 10 to 3 is the Children's Discovery Center at 95 South Hanover Street. They're doing the trucks to climb on, like all the different cars for the kids. Also, June 10th, from 4 to 5, ages 5 and up, there's the free Adaptive Tennis Community Day. They're gonna have games. It's at Maple Street Park. You must register on the website. There's gonna be pizza and prizes, and that's hosted by the Greater Pottstown Tennis. June 15th is the 27th Annual Tribute to Women for the YWCA, and I'm actually excited because it's the first time that I'm able to attend, so I will report back. I believe Paid has a fundraiser at the Alley on June 15th from 5 to 7:30, is that correct? Okay. This is the last weekend for Steel Rivers Into the Woods. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you buy tickets now. June 17th from 10 to 1 is going to be the Juneteenth celebration brunch, which is going to start at the Avenue from 10 to 1. Tickets are about $19, $6 of each ticket goes towards the scholarships that will be awarded at Smith Family Plaza following the brunch. And then the rest of the Juneteenth celebration will be at Smith Family Plaza, and Troy Rivera and Be Resilient will be hosting that. We have the Rumble. It's June already, 23rd and 25th, and no, Joe Cerisi and I are not going to be playing this year. July 4th, obviously, is our parade and all day. Festival, July 17th, save the date at 7 p.m. There's a free community concert at the Hill School put on by the PA Philharmonic, which is super cool. And their theme is going to be water. So I'm going to try to attend. The library's not here, but they were this morning at the Community Leaders Breakfast meeting. They have over 200 programs going on in the next 3 months. So if you are interested, go on their website. They have a full calendar of events. And July 21st, they're holding at 6 p.m., they're holding their first adult bingo at the library. And one more, save the date, I'm sorry. There's a camp for the Greater Pottstown Tennis, the Adaptive Clinic. It is a free summer adaptive tennis clinic. It's out at Maple Street Park, and summer sessions start from June 12th through July 24th, and it's ages 5 and up, and you just need to register, so go to greaterpottstowntennis.org. And I'm going to skip everything else. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Very good. Thank you. And from our manager?
All right, good evening, everyone, and I have a couple important updates for you tonight that represent our progress that the borough is making in terms of infrastructure. So first one is the borough-wide paving project. So we awarded the contract to H&K. They're going to commence borough milling and paving activities on June 12th, and they're going to begin with the west side of town. This project is estimated to take about 2 weeks. Also, as you probably heard, this week PennDOT is conducting milling activities, and they also plan to start paving on Sunday evening on Arm & Hammer Boulevard. So we're going to get some nice, efficient roadways there. Update on the Kime Street Bridge replacement project. The commissioners approved a reimbursement agreement for the Kime Street Bridge project. The right-of-way portion of the project has been completed, and the bridge is expected to be advertised for construction later this year. Certainly, once that's completed, it will provide a safer and more efficient passage for many motorists and pedestrians. Good news on the LED lighting project that is currently ongoing. We have 3 out of the 5 zones so far converted to LED, 455 lights already installed, and the remaining 345 lights are in the process of being installed over the next few weeks. So currently we're working with Pico to secure a reduced rate that we'll get for upgrading to LED. And in addition, the lighting fund will get a rebate of $95,000, give or take, as part of the Pico incentive. So this project really benefits visibility, safety, energy efficiency, and long-term cost savings for the community. Just a Parks and Rec update. I don't know if the mayor had it in there. If she did, I might have missed it, but the much anticipated Water Wednesdays event is set to return on June 14th. Residents are advised to check the Borough Parks and Recreation Facebook page on the day of the event for the location. And I think this event really provides an enjoyable recreational experience for residents, children, really fosters community engagement through its healthy, active lifestyle. The really good news that I have for tonight, and this has been a long time coming, some of you may have heard it already, but the Environmental Protection Agency has awarded the borough a significant grant of $485,000 for the cleanup and remediation of Pollock Park. Additionally, the Parks Department submitted a grant to DCDCFA for Phase 1 improvement. So that would bring the total investment to the park over $1 million. And I think these grants really highlight the borough's commitment to creating safe and attractive public spaces in our neighborhoods. And I do want to recognize our Parks Director, Michael Lenhart, for his diligent effort over the past 5 years in securing the grant funding towards this work. Mr. Lenhart's dedication and hard work have been instrumental in securing the funding for the cleanup and the revitalization, all while ensuring minimal cost to the borough. And I really commend him for his exceptional contributions on this project. So later on tonight, Council's going to hear a proposal for a property across the street from Pollock Park that aims to enlarge and complement the existing and soon-to-be constructed recreation facilities at Pollock Park. And that concludes my report. Happy to take any questions.
Very good, thank you. Hey,
I forgot one thing. I'm so sorry. Justin, thanks for reminding me. I did have that on my report, but I skipped over it. But also, in addition to Water Wednesdays, Play Street Thursdays are starting. Parks and Recs Play Streets starting June 15th through August 10th. The first one is at Maple Street Park, 5:30 to 7:30. And those dates are in your infrastructure report.
all right, Mr. Garner, the Hill School Chapel waiver request.
Sure, Dan. If council recalls, I guess several months ago, council granted a waiver from the land development process for a very small building addition to the existing Hill School Chapel. The waiver of the land development simply removes the plan from going through a planning process given the small nature of the expansion. But our engineer still reviews the plan to make sure it complies with our ordinances. I think you have in your packet a waiver request letter seeking 4 waivers from the borough's Saldo ordinance. I believe most of these are standard waiver requests given the nature of the project. We're talking about the requirement to show existing features and right-of-way lines. I think one of them is a waiver of a Phase 1 environmental, which really wouldn't apply given the size of the Hill School and the fact this is private property. So unless council has any questions, it would be listed for Monday night for you to review and consider or approve the 4 waivers that are being requested for this project.
Okay, any questions? All right, we'll list that for Monday. The Children's Discovery Center, is that you, Chuck?
No, I believe that's Justin.
Oh, Justin?
Yep. Thanks, I'll take this one, Dan. So as the mayor had mentioned, the Children's Discovery Center is holding a fundraiser on June 10th. That's going to include equipment that kids can climb on. I know the police department is participating in it as well. And the request is to use Lot 1, our Reading lot, on that date. Now, I just want to put it out there that we typically do not lease our parking lots or rent our parking lots out to anyone, but there's a little bit of a undue circumstance, I think, in this case, because they were originally intending to use the community college lot. It turns out, as you've heard, they're doing a lot of work there, and that lot is being paved on the state. So they're asking to use our lot as somewhat of an emergency request.
Any questions? All right, well, due to the emergency, I think it's a good idea we let them use it. We'll list that for action for Monday.
And given,
it's this
given the time of the motion on Monday will just simply be to ratify Justin's recommendation to allow the use of the parking lot.
All right,
Unless
could we be voting on it tonight?
it hasn't been listed for formal action, Dan, so let's just ratify it on Monday. Unless
Okay.
council has it.
All right,
Yes, let's wait
very
till
good.
Wednesday.
We'll do that. 15, 860 Cross Street. I think it's you, Mr. Garner.
Yes, that's correct. I think Justin alluded to this in his manager's report, and I think I had emailed council some rather detailed information about this parcel. For the past 3.5 years or so, myself, Justin, and Michael Lenhart have been working with the property owners, BASF, who own this property. The property is contaminated, but the property owner is working with DEP to secure approvals of soil and water under Act 2. In the meantime, we had the idea, given the issues with Pollock Park, that perhaps we could expand our park system and have basketball courts and parking facilities available on this piece of property. The lease that we have in front of us is basically no cost to the borough. Some, but not all, of the recreation improvements will be paid for by BASF. So we're in a position to expand our park system, basically obtain ultimately this property for $1 once all of the DEP clearances have been provided. It's been a long time in working on this, and Michael and Justin can back me up on that. But by acquiring this and using it as a park also frees us up to obtain more grant funds from DCNR. So there's a lot of reasons that this makes sense. We don't have a lot invested in it, but we get a big benefit at the end by having a new park and having some of the improvements paid for by the company that owns it now. If council has any questions, we're happy to try and answer them. I know Michael's there tonight and Justin's here as well. So that's the request for Monday, is to approve the lease so we can get started with having BASF put the improvements in the ground.
Any questions? All right, we'll list that for Monday evening. Pro Champs, the agreement expires July 13. Justin?
Yes, that's correct. So we previously had a 2-year agreement with a 1-year extension. We've talked to L&I, and they're recommending that we renew this agreement under similar terms. Pro Champs is the entity that we use to do our vacant property billing and inventory. So this would be asking you to authorize our solicitor to prepare a new agreement with them.
Okay. Any discussion on this? All right, we'll list that for Monday. 17 is a bid award for the manhole frame and lid rehabilitation. The bid tabs are in your packet. Any issues, questions? All right, we'll list that for Monday. Juneteenth, Community Day, June 17, 2023. Request is to close High Street from York to Hanover.
Yes, and this, you guys already approved this event.
Right.
There was just an absence of the street closure when you made the approval, so we're just trying to rectify that and include the street closure.
Okay.
in time for the event.
All right, we'll list that for approval for Monday evening. The Ambucks Soapbox Derby is June 16 and 17 this year. Any issues, questions? All right, we'll approve that Monday night. 20 is a block party, July 4th, on the 300 block of New Street. Any comments, details? If not, we'll list that for Monday evening. Okay, Mr. Garner, you're up. The next four are the zoning issues.
Okay, see if I can crank these out without too much trouble. The first one is a request by the owners or equitable owners for property at both 22 East High Street and 456 Apple Street. These folks own a business known as Fast Pro Restoration. They restore damaged properties from fire, flood, etc. They want to use the 22 East High Street property for warehousing personal property while they're restoring buildings of their customers. This type of warehousing use is what it is not a permitted use in the downtown. So they're asking for a variance to allow them to use this building for the warehouse. This used to be Kiss Honda. That's the building we're talking about. In addition, they would like to have a storage container also to store these items on their property at 456 Apple Street. It's a 300 square foot container and would require zoning relief. So that's what's being sought by this application.
Okay. Any comments? This your ward, Lisa?
I believe all these are second ward for Ms.
Yeah. All right, and as usual, we have the option Monday to send a letter of approval, send a letter to deny, or do nothing, correct?
That's correct. And again, just to go back to my solicitor's report, again, I don't view this as as big of a zoning request as perhaps the apartments on North Hanover Street, which have a larger effect on the borough. This would be more of a limited effect on neighboring properties potentially as opposed to anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you know, neighbors get notice of these hearings and they go and they can participate and voice concerns if they have any. So it still doesn't mean council can't weigh in, but certainly this isn't viewed as a really large request in my view anyway.
Okay, so we'll list that for Monday. Next is for 80 Robinson Street.
Yes, up in the Tri-County Business Campus, there's a request to use a portion of that property for a church and a daycare. This is in the HB district. Neither of those uses are permitted in the HB district, so the applicants are seeking a variance to allow the use of those two types of uses in a portion of that Tri-County Business Campus.
Okay, comments or? Question.
To use an existing part of that building or add something? An existing part, okay.
It's all, I mean, I think it's like a strip building. And
Yeah.
it's, you know, leased, all parts are leased out, so there must be a part that's vacant and they would use part of it as a church and daycare.
Okay, thank you.
We'll list that for Monday. 23 would be 101 East High Street.
Yeah, so this one, again, a little more, not really complicated, but our ordinance makes it complicated. This is a mixed-use building. They want to open a convenience store, a neighborhood convenience store. Our ordinance does not allow a neighborhood convenience store to be in a mixed-use building. So they're seeking a variance to allow that. In addition, our ordinance requires separation from existing neighborhood convenience stores of 1,200 feet. It appears that there is at least one other neighborhood convenience store within that vicinity. So they would need zoning relief of that 1,200-foot separation requirement. The final interesting thing to note is if they went to the zoning hearing board and if they got those variances granted, they would still have to come back to you as Borough Council because a neighborhood convenience store is permitted in downtown only by conditional use. So they would, assuming they were successful in getting zoning relief, they would still need to come back to you for conditional use approval. So that's what that application is seeking.
Okay. If there are no questions, we'll list that for Monday. And 24 is for 61 Robinson Street.
Yes, and again, this is a request, this is a flex office district. The principal, they're wanting to store equipment outside. It would be more than the 25% that's permitted under the ordinance. So they would need a variance to exceed the 25% requirement for outside storage. In addition, they want to put a security fence around the storage items, and they're looking for an 8-foot fence, and I believe the ordinance allows only a 4-foot fence. So they're looking for the outdoor storage relief as well as a security fence higher than what the ordinance provides for currently.
Okay, if there are no questions, we'll list that one. Thank you, Mr. Garner. The upcoming board vacancies for Harb, one vacant term to expire April 1, 2026. We have 4 applicants. You have 4 listed in the packet. And there's an addition, Mr. Miles Feather would like to be added to that as well.
Three and Miles, the other one's civil service. This is for civil service.
Oh, okay, so, I'm sorry, I misread that. All right, the 3 are Tracy Purdy, Wayne Fenstermacher, Vivian McWell for Harb, plus Miles Feather. And then for the Civil Service Commission, a 1 6-year term is Mark Gibson.
That's for July.
Yeah. Well, they won't be this month, but the Gibsons for July. All right, and we'll put those on for Monday evening.
Mr. President, the only thing that I would like to say when we consider these applications for these quasi-governmental,
Yes.
if we find that there are qualified candidates that are underrepresented in our community, that we should give them special consideration, because there are some members of the community that aren't represented on these boards, and I think it's important to have these boards represented by a cross-section of our community, if we can.
Okay.
That's all.
So for Monday, there's someone you'd like to recommend? Or no?
I'm not, all those candidates are excellent
Yes.
candidates. They are spectacular human beings that I have worked with.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
They're all equal.
We'll keep those all listed. Any comments from citizens that are here?
Mr. Philip T.
Just one, okay.
Sorry, before we get started, I just want to remind everyone, please state your address as well as your name, and everyone will have 3 minutes.
Okay, welcome.
Welcome. You want to state my name again?
Name and address.
Philip Tees, that's T-H-E-E-S, and it's 63 South Evans Street, Pottstown.
Welcome.
1-1. I'm really glad that I was here tonight to hear all that Mr. Steele had to say, because we've had quite a lot of goings-on down here in the South End, and I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody about it, just the way the work has been working out, so I thought I'd come tonight. 2 weeks ago, either Wednesday or Thursday night, 2 weeks this week, We had 3 men prowl down our South Evans Street from the bridge. The neighbor has a camera, so we get to see everything that goes on. It's well recorded. And the one man, all 3 of them, or at least the one had his hoodie with a mask on so you couldn't see anything of his identity, and he's going with a flashlight in all the cars. And the other 2 are walking on the pavement as they're going down, checking every car. And they stopped at mine, and I had 2 empty cardboard boxes in the back. I wish I had a dead skunk or something there, but that's the way it goes. They didn't get into the car, but they certainly tried. And they went, and I understand there was another car broke down further down. Now that's the cake. Now comes the icing with the cherry on top. A week ago, this past Monday evening, 3 or 4 came down the street again. This time it was around between 10 after and 20 after 3 in the morning, with their faces concealed again. And when they got down in front of the bowling store down between Cherry and South Street, it was bang, 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 bang. And the neighbor quick called the police. He quick called me. The police were there. They were on the ball. There's nothing wrong with the police here in this town. And just wish there was more of them, but we're doing pretty good, I think, on that. But at any rate, my point is that what are we going to do before these grants, these fancy electric things? I think we need, if we don't have an ordinance on the book, we need an ordinance on prowling. Now, when someone's walking around at 3 o'clock in the morning with their face all concealed, I don't care if they're on the pavement, they're prowling, and they should be stopped and checked out. And I think me and all my neighbors and all the other people in this fine town have a right to go to bed and hope that we're not killed by a stray bullet coming into our home while we're in bed. So that's what's going on here. And I don't want to hear any crying about, oh, well, that's not right, or no. If they're walking around with their face concealed, that nobody's cameras can see who they are, they're prowling. And that's a threat, and we have a right to live in peace in this community. And we don't want our town turned into, I will say it nicely, a fertilizer hole like Philadelphia. And one other thing I want to point out is, and then there's the continuous carrying on that an elderly friends of mine have to deal with on North Franklin Street. They're not well enough to come.
30 seconds.
And it goes on between Oak and West Street. They have called the police repeatedly, and these people on both ends of the block think it's okay for them to make unlimited noise for the weekend and wherever else, and you don't have a right to sit in your home and with your windows closed yet and have peace and quiet. That's not a good situation.
Okay.
And,
thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay. That's it for here. Any online?
All right, so we do have one online, Deb Spence.
Good afternoon, Deb Spence, 153 South Roland Street, Pottstown, PA 19464. Since we're on the topic of crime, I'd like to know what the outcome is from the last meeting where the gentleman that owned the property on the corner of High and Roland Street said that he was made promises in order to get the $200,000 tax relief by the borough as well as by the school district, which we granted. Not me, I voted against that, but which you all pushed for, and he claimed during that meeting it was done with a promise of him being able to rent his building on Washington to whoever he wanted. And he supposedly tried to rent to a pilot company that wanted outdoor storage, and he pushed for that, said it was a lot of money on the line, based on promises that were made to him to not sue the borough. So I think that's a crime, and I want to know what the resolution of that is, if it's true, If it's not true, I want a statement from you all that says it's not true with evidence, if possible. If it is true, I'd like also to see the evidence of that being true. Um, if we're going to prosecute crime in this borough, let's prosecute them all. Second question is the Human Relations Committee. I've uh, I've tested that system with via phone, email, even text message. Someone gave me a text message, a phone number of the chairperson to reach out to file a complaint. This is 3 months ago. I'm still waiting for somebody to get back to me. So if you can all check that system to make sure it works, because as of 3 months ago, it did not work, and no one got back to me in regards to a complaint. I still need to file, but considering that I'm someone that's able to go directly to the state, I can do that. But what about someone that's just regular folk that's not understanding how the system works and how to contact Harrisburg's Human Relations Commission? If we have one locally, it should work.
Your time is up.
I like answers. Thank you.
Okay.
Dan, I'm sorry. May I respond to one thing? I know we normally don't, and I'm not going to go into it.
Go ahead.
Okay. Last month, at our meeting, is when that situation about the building and the taxes and what the gentleman said, at that time, I did say that wasn't true, and you can find that evidence in the videos of the meeting and the meeting minutes. And I would go back to previous meetings where that specific situation was discussed. Thank you.
Okay. Any others? Nope. Okay.
Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you all. Before we get there, I'm going to ask Chuck or Justin, any need for an executive session?
I would like a brief one, Dan, yes.
Okay. So eventually, we will have a session, we'll come back, no action. So,
Yeah, there would be no action for sure.
You need to state a specific topic for an executive session. You can't just general.
Right.
Oh, sure, it's litigation involves St. Paul's Church and Beacon of Hope.
very good. Okay, counselors' general discussion. Counselor Proskal.
The boys and I have been enjoying the car shows and the parade, and hopefully the smoke blows away soon.
Counselor Banning.
Yep. I'm going to talk about something that's not popular, but I brought it up last month or the month before. The flags. I don't know if you were out over Memorial Day or the last couple weeks, but there's flags up. So if we're going to make one business take them down, we need to make all of them take them down. So I think we should go around and check on a daily basis and see who has flags up. And I hope we get that ordinance changed quickly. Other than that, could we not put rocks in the drains of the spray park, please? Don't do that. It will break it, and we won't be able to use it. Sorry?
No, I was like, I agree
Oh,
with you. Stop,
thank you.
Stop putting them rocks in there.
Also, I want to thank Trinita for being the bus captain on our trip to Harrisburg. I will second what she said. I think it was 2018, we had 3 buses. We had 19 people today. People want to complain about taxes. People want to complain about our schools. Come with us on that bus to Harrisburg. It's really disappointing that there was only 19 of us. On a happy note, I will second what Mayor Stephanie said. Go see Into the Woods, or volunteer at Steel River. You'll get to see it for free. They are such talented, amazing people that put on those shows. We are so lucky to have a playhouse like that in our borough. So please go check out their shows. They're amazing. Oh, and I really enjoyed the Memorial Day Parade and getting to walk with, Don was there, I was there, Trinita was on the bus. Andrew was there, and we got to go with Joe Cerisi, and it was lovely. You didn't drive with us? Mayor.
Sorry.
Mayor Stephanie was there as well. That's all I have. Thank you.
Very good. Trinita, anything?
Trying to think, what did I do? Oh, so Go Forth.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Go Forth had their pre-kickoff Sunday, and I didn't get the lottery tickets. I'm still a little bitter about that because I put my tickets in there and I didn't win. And Lauren, I almost went to jail, so I'm glad I didn't attack her because she bought it and she actually won money off of the tickets.
That's crazy.
I'm not good. I'm not in a happy place. So anyway, but it was. I love seeing the pictures again. I can't express how John is everywhere, and I get tagged in pictures, and I just love the summertime in Pottstown. And since I can't be there because I have to work, I get to see it through Facebook pictures, and I just love it. I just love the car shows. I love the parade. It's good times. I love it. So that's it.
And we miss you.
Very good. Counselor Monastra.
I just want to talk about some procedure. Many times, counselors are contacted by our constituents with regard to quality of life issues, and they would like us to do something about it. I want to discuss what the protocol is to get these things done most effectively. When you call us or email us, we will direct you to speak with the appropriate agency, whether it's police, public works, parks and rec, or codes, for you to contact them and explain the problem. Because it's their job they're paid to address these quality of life issues. And they have asked that we follow this protocol. And I am happy to do so. So I just want to let you know that we're not sloughing you off. We're not pushing you aside. We're respecting the wishes of those that are paid to address these quality of life issues. So we're not sloughing you off. I will say, of course, that if you do follow the protocols and you do it what they're said, and the problem does not abate, or the bad actors or property owners who are flaunting the laws and spitting in your face, I will do what I can, regardless of the protocols, to see that these people don't impact your lives negatively. Thank you.
Counselor Kirkland.
Nothing at this time.
Nothing?
Thank you.
Okay. Mayor Henry. Nothing more? And I also have nothing more to add. So we will be going to executive session on litigation. We will not take any action and will not be coming back. So meeting adjourned.